I'm going to tell you a few stories from when I was in the Navy. For you don't know, I know I didn't get the numbers on the ship, but uh, that ship in the background is the USS Fox CG-33, uh, decommissioned in '92 or '93. I forget the exact year. And that was the last tour I was on. Well, we had one night. As an electronics technician, I was called up at 3 o'clock in the morning because the IFF identification friend or foe for one of the radars had went down. So I went up, did a quick check of what was going on, and due to the fact that we were underway, yes, it wasn't working, but we still had to get permission to troubleshoot it, open it up, and troubleshoot being underway. We got the permission, we opened it up, and test showed that it was working. So we went up to combat, checked on the radars again. Yeah, it's showing up on the radars. So, not knowing at the time, we went back down to look at it more. And while we were closing it up, before we closed it up, me and another technician, one of the operators specialists, the OSs up in the radar, up in combat, told the TAO, hey, the 48 IFF's back up. So it got confused in translation there, and TAO reported to the captain that the equipment was working. Well, that was the first downfall because we didn't report it up and running. It's supposed to be the technician that reports it, not the operators. We just go to the operators to verify it's operational. So when it went down again, there came an announcement over the MC system. That's the announcing system on the ship. Electronics material officer, please contact the captain. As soon as we heard the announcement, me and the chief sitting in the room looking at the gear, looked at each other and says, "You don't think?" And I was like, "Most likely, yes." So the chief went into the office that's right there beside us and called down the MO and explained what was up real quick. So he'd know when he went into the captain's office what was going on. So they went in to explain it, and this is now we started really troubleshooting, and I found that the fault was when we closed it, it worked. When we opened it, it didn't. Or we closed it up, it did not work. When we opened it, it worked. So we assumed it was a heating problem. So we called up to get permission to swap out some components to test it. The component swapping didn't help us solve the problem. So we then started using heat gun, pulling the boards out, heating them up, putting them back in and see if it caused the problem. This went on probably 6 to 8 hours. So that's quite a while for a piece of equipment to be down. And the reason it was taking so long is because we had to turn it off, open it up, turn it off, take the board out, hook up our test probes, put it back together and slide it in and test it. Or we'd have it up on extension boards, heat it up with the test probe on. And then we'd have to cool it off to go to the next test. So that took a while. And as it came down that time, the other technician had gone down to eat, and I was in there alone. Oh, I hear the door open, didn't look up to pay attention because I was all in live equipment, so I had to pay attention to what I was doing. But out of the corner of my eye, walking up beside me, I saw 3 khaki uniforms. Well, in the Navy, khaki uniforms is E7 and above, especially underway. So that's the E78 and 9, and then all the officer ranks. I I I heard hey, Charles, when do you think this is going to be operational? Are you going to be able to get it up and running? Without even thinking, I go, if these damn khakis would leave me alone, I'd be able to figure out what's going on. Then I hear, hey, Charles, do you realize who you're talking to? Now that clicked in my head as to what did I just do, and I slowly turned my head. And as I turn my head, I see the chest ribbons, and I see this surface warfare of my chief, which is the normal silver, and I see two gulls. Get get up a little higher. Now this didn't take that long, but it still seemed like forever. When I got up and saw who they were, one was the captain of the ship, the other was the electronics material officer, and then my chief. I was like, "Oh, sorry, I'm working on it, sir. I don't understand what's going on. When we open it up, it's working, so it's hard to troubleshoot, and we have to keep closing it up or heating it." And that I saw that the captain kind of keyed in on that. He looks at the EMO and looks at me, and he sits there and goes, "Well, can we make it where it's operational as it is, and how could we do it?" And I said, "Well, we leave it open. We'd have to tie it in place." And he says, "How long would that work?" I said, "We can't guarantee the length of this will work, and it may fail later, but I'm pretty sure it worked for quite a while." And they discussed it, and they go, "Okay, so go ahead and strap it, tie it up so it won't fall, and also so it won't close, and we'll stop troubleshooting until we get back to an area where we can fix it." So we set up a board to block it from closing up, tied it both sides so it won't slide out and won't slide at an angle. We get that all done, tested it out, run it through a couple tests, and sure enough, it worked. That that's where that ended it. Later on, the funny thing is that problem went away for some reason. And I think it was along the time that we had another fault come up. We changed some stuff out, and the problem went away. So I think the problem was we found it finally failed. But that's what happened. It teaches you pay attention to who you're talking to before you open your mouth. So yeah, that was when it went into